Hi guys, so welcome, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is the reading vlog for Six Wives, the Queens of Henry VIII. Now, technically I'm recording this a day late because I started on the first, I'm starting recording this on the second, but the first was manic, so I don't really mind. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving you regular updates on what I think of this book and how it goes on the start. Now, day one yesterday I started with this. I'm not going to do any more clips today because I just don't think there's any need for it. I'll try and do a little clip every few days, otherwise this video is going to be massively long and it's got to last the whole course of the month. So yesterday it started off with a bit of information about where Henry married to the queens, and we are doing a big chunk on Catherine of Aragon. She is going to be our main queen that we're going to be talking about a lot in this, and we've also got a lot on Anne Boleyn because obviously they were the queens that lasted the longest, although only just. I think Catherine Parr was also the longest. We've actually got the amount of days or months or whatever that the kings and queens were with Henry IV. So this is what it is. And now I will let you know the first section of this book. Sorry guys. We are going up to I've already segmented it out. So I'm going up to I'm reading part 1 in week 1. So this will be finished on the Monday. So Sunday I'll be finishing this week's pages. Part 2 is Divorcing Catherine, Anne Boleyn and Jane Seymour. Week 2 will be up to Wolsey's End, which is about Catherine, it's still about Anne Boleyn. Week 3 we will go up to this is really hard because this book is so chunky, it's very hard to, and a conversation, and I think we're on a conversation, so I don't really know what that's going up to, and I think that's what goes near Catherine Howard's End, and then the last bit will be on the last queens. So that is the plan for this vlog. I was told that by Jem from Gemma Books that she wanted me to vlog me reading this non-fiction book, because obviously we're doing the Tudor along with the rest of the year, sort of. I think it's going up to about March. At the moment in August we are finishing Anne Boleyn, and this book is going to be my first non-fiction book on Henry VIII, and it's purely non-fiction, so it's going to be interesting to compare non-fiction with Alison Weir's writing. That's my sort of comparison really. So because of that I'm not going to be reading the Henry VIII non-fiction books on the days when I'm reading Alison Weir books, because otherwise I'm probably going to get too confused. So far it's quite a bit interesting because we're still on Catherine of Aragon, and we will be quite a while, and we read Catherine of Aragon's books in May and June, so that is already very interesting comparing them. I'm going to try not to fill up too much. I hope you like this video. I really hope it goes well. I hope that I can vlog this nicely and put it all together nicely. But ta-ta for now. I will speak to you in that probably. This is Tuesday today, so I'm going to do a next update on Thursday and see how I'm doing. Hi guys, so today is Thursday the 4th of August, and I've read another 50 pages of this. I will say, sorry, I'm trying to work out the angle of holding this. I will say that I definitely think the writing style is very different, because obviously this is focused more on Henry rather than the Queens, which all the other books I've read have been on the Queen, and it's talked about how the kings felt about when his father died. We've just read about when his father died and how him and Catherine married, and it really does sound like they're married with genuine true love, and the fact that how he felt like his father had treated him, that he was mollycoddled and things, and that he wanted to get out and do his own thing, and he was very much a strong character and he had very strong opinions, and I think that's something that's very prevalent in this book. But you see how we've only just read about how how Catherine miscarried her first child, and then the baby died very early on, and how he dealt with his grief very differently to what Catherine, because Catherine was able to grieve very publicly, whereas he buried it right down, and how it must have really hurt him, because you do think about how it does affect the fathers when you lose a baby, and we tend to focus more purely on the mothers and how that side. So I think it's quite interesting to see how that's affected him, and how when we're talking about now we're going into battle again, and how he goes into fight and Catherine is left as regent, and she is very strong character. She's very much like her mother. She was very strong-willed. She had her opinions on how she wanted to do, and it was when she kind of got to get into her own And I think that's quite interesting. It's interesting because you just met Elizabeth Boleyn, Anne Boleyn's mother, and how she is one of the ladies in waiting, and how that's affected it, and how she became, I think it's Henry VIII's mother's cousin, that Margaret Pole, and she was one of the people that supported Catherine, so that's been quite interesting how that's been brought in. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking the writing style's quite good. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this book goes and how the writing will carry on and how I will think about it all. On a personal note, we've had a bit of a manic week. My mum's still quite poorly and I'm just chilling today, so that's always good. I'm going to be finishing my Anne Boleyn book on Saturday. I've decided I want to get another book finished. The more books I can limit the number of books that I'm reading in one go will probably make the reading of the other books a lot easier. Anyway, that's enough for today. I'll catch up with you hopefully Saturday and tell you how I'm doing. Bye bye. I'm fed up of filming clip down in that chair because that's all I seem to be doing every time. It's my favourite reading chair down there. But I thought I'd show you a clip of this top end of the car. Oh, there's much difference. So it is Monday the 8th of August. I've just read today's pages of this book. And it starts off with the start of the divorce of Catherine. And we're ending tomorrow's, or whenever I read today, that next page is, I think it's tomorrow, is starting Anne Boleyn. But what I've noticed the big difference in this book as opposed of Alison Weir books or Philippa Gregory is that we're definitely hearing more about how I don't think Henry necessarily wanted to divorce Catherine, and I think they actually had a real love, because there's some quotes in this bit where they talk about the fact that how much Catherine, they had their routines after 20 years of marriage, they had their routines, and it was very hard to break those at the end. They both shared a real love for Mary, their daughter, and I don't think Henry necessarily, I think for definite, if any of their sons would have lived, he would not have divorced Catherine, and we would not have had the 6 wives, because I think he genuinely loved Catherine out of all the queens. And I'm looking forward to reading more, because I think, to me, I think Anne Boleyn was purely a physical attraction and wanting a son, and I think the others were, again, it was purely wanting sons, and I don't think it was necessarily love. They talk about the fact that he loved Jane Seymour, but actually in other books that I'm reading, I think it was more of a case of she was a sweet, gentle girl and bedded to make him a son. But yeah, definitely from what I've read today, it was, the divorce was actually something that wasn't necessarily something that was easy. Certainly we know that it was not an easy thing to happen, to divorce him, and Catherine still loved him right to the very end. She really did, and she still did everything for him. She sewed his shirts, she did everything for him. So that's quite interesting. I'm sorry you guys are hearing the kids being really noisy. But yes, today's pages, we're about to start. I'll show you. Anne Boleyn. There you go, my pages, there you go, Anne Boleyn. And in the next pages, I will be showing you, there's some pictures actually in this book, so that'll be quite interesting to read about the pictures that we'll see in this book. But yeah, I definitely think the writing style is very interesting. We're hearing a lot more technical stuff about what happened with the divorce, and it's certainly very good. On a personal note, my kids are just enjoying just chilling out. It's going to be a real chill day today. Obviously, I was working yesterday, so I'm resting today, doing a bit of housework and doing things like that. The rest of the week we're going to be going to Gray's farm to pick some fruit, and going to get uniform shopping, because it's going to be very hot this week. It's supposed to be up to 30 degrees this week. Next week will be cooler, so hopefully next week I might take the kids to Marwell Zoo, maybe towards the end of the month. We don't know yet, but it's definitely a more chilled summer holidays this year. We've had the big holiday at the start of the holidays, and it's just chilled, and do you know what, that's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, sorry, no, we're not to make it today, but I'll catch you on the next instalment. Bye bye. Ladies, today is Thursday the 11th of August, and I'm just giving you a little update. Sorry I didn't update you the other day, but it's been a bit manic this end. So I thought I'd show you today's pictures on some of the pages I've read. So we know that Lady Margaret Beaufort, obviously you can see what I've read, she was Henry VII's mum, which was a bit of a bitch to Henry's mother, Henry's mum. So that's a picture of her. Then we've got, I actually believe that Henry's parents actually were very, very close, and Henry was actually a lot closer to his mother than he was to his father. So I'm just turning the pages, see how I can do this. So we've got, obviously that's
Catherine of Aragon's parents there, the marriage of Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile, and I believe that says that's Ferdinand. I think both these are Ferdinand, so that's Catherine of Aragon's father. So that's Catherine of Aragon when she was younger, and she was the youngest daughter of them, and she was really taught to be really strong. I think that was like the duelling that they used to do. Obviously, that was Catherine in the later days, but because obviously, even though she only had one surviving daughter, she did have lots of pregnancies, and that caused her to put on weight. Don't we all know that? And we got Bridewell with the Thames. You can see that. And that is the Emperor Charles V and Charles VII. And that's Henry. So that's Henry VIII actually, and that's Catherine. That's Mary. So that's his daughter, and she was really sort of used as a pawn in their marriage. So obviously these are the last people in these pictures, and that's Thomas More, I believe, down there. So obviously we know about him. Today's pages were a lot about Catherine of Anne Boleyn's early stages. So that's before they actually got married. So these are the pictures. We got Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour. I think that is Anne of Cleves, Catherine Parr, Catherine Howard, and then Catherine Parr. So obviously that's it. But today's pages were more about obviously Anne's early days, but it's more information about what happened and about when she had the sweat and how he reacted to that. He wanted to be with her. So that was quite interesting today. But today's nothing much, but it is more about Anne's early stages. But it's very much more political and interesting on that way, but nothing, more factual than anything else. But anyway, that's enough for today. I will sum up this week's pages on Saturday when I read them, but I hope you all enjoy it.
Guys,
Bye-bye.
so this is just it's Saturday the 12th or 13th? I think it's 13th. And I've just finished this week's pages for this book. And to me, today, it's been quite an info dump. It's more about the information about what led up to the divorce. We've not really heard much from Anne. It's nothing much. It's purely factual information about all the politics that happened, which for some people it may be thoroughly interesting. For me, it's not. It was just a bit boring, to be honest. I didn't really sort of see anything that was particularly interesting. But there was a lot that went on, and maybe for a lot of other people the factual side won't be fascinating. Just for me today, it wasn't as great. On the I've had an allergic reaction to some eye makeup remover, so my eyes look very sore, and I'm just not feeling 100% today. So that's on this bit. Today is one of the last hot days, I think, and then hopefully next week you may see more clips from inside because it's supposed to be raining all next week. So kind of looking forward to that. But yeah, so far the last 2 weeks we're about halfway through the book, and I found out a lot. I think the first bit was really good, and the next bit may be quite good, so fingers crossed. But that's it for this week, and I'll see you all next week. So I've read a bit more of this page of the Six Wives. I think I updated you Monday. I cannot remember because I've been all over the place. Still no makeup, but my eye has recovered. My eyes have recovered, so on a happier note, I am able to wear makeup at the end of the night. But it sounds really silly. I also want to talk about the book, but yeah, it's I'm definitely brightening up this week. I've managed to play football. The weather's cooled down here. I'm a lot happier. I'm going to take the kids out for a walk in a minute and see if we can do any blackberry picking. So that's the sort of lifey update for today. But I've read today's pages, and we just read about Elizabeth's birth and how it was actually interesting, because there was actually a point in here that actually apparently Anne Boleyn actually wanted to breastfeed Elizabeth, but she wasn't allowed because of Henry's feelings, like wanting to sleep well and all that lot. So could the bond between Elizabeth and Anne have been stronger if she would have breastfed? And that sounds like that's a controversial issue in itself, because I know there's big controversy over breastfeeding. But, you know, she didn't bond. It's saying in here she didn't bond. She wanted a son, that was it. She wasn't like Mary and Catherine, who they really did bond. And even though Mary wasn't the son that Catherine wanted, she still loved Mary. Whereas I think in this book we're finding out that Anne really was so. Could it be classed as postnatal depression? I don't know. Or could it have been seen as Anne Boleyn's slightly more evil side? We also just read about the fact that Anne got told off because she rebuked Henry. I really think the more I'm reading of this book, Anne used Henry as a tool. She didn't really love him, and I'm really strict on that view, because the more I read of this, the more I'm thinking it wasn't like that, you know. And we still obviously had the politics, but we're getting near to the end of this bit, and then we're going to go on to, I think tomorrow I might read, tomorrow it's Hearts and Minds, so as to whether Jane Seymour comes into it a bit more then. But it's also like Anne's manipulation, like she wanted to have Mary as a lady's maid for Elizabeth, and how she wanted to put Mary down. That's quite harsh. As a stepmother, that must have been really horrible. So I'm really not liking Anne, even less on this book. But that's it for today. I'll catch up with you on the next day or so, or either tomorrow or Saturday. Speak to you then. Bye bye. Hi. Talk about a different weather today. Hey, today is the Monday the 22nd of August, and I've read the pages for this. I don't think I updated you on Saturday, because I ended up going shopping with Gemma from Read a Book Gem, who used to be on here, and we went to Wokingham, so I read the pages before that, and I was reading about Jane Seymour. Today I read about Anne of Cleves and Catherine Parr, so I'm near the end now. I think I'm going to only read a little bit tomorrow, because tomorrow I've got my friend's little girl, and we'll be reading some of the interlude bit in between Catherine Howard and Catherine Parr. And then I'll be finishing it on Wednesday, and it'll be finished. I can't believe this book's nearly finished. I found it quite informative. Jane Seymour, I don't think he loved her like he loved Catherine of Aragon. He was passionate with Anne Boleyn, but I don't think that was real love. I think it was pure lust. Jane Seymour, I think he thought she was sweet. She was completely the opposite of Catherine of Anne Boleyn. So he wanted that. He wanted someone completely opposite, someone completely different. But I don't know how much he loved her, and he didn't get a chance. I think he was in love with her, but it was a different kind of love to what real love in his eyes it was. Anne of Cleves, we all know he married because of a picture, and he didn't love her like that. He loved her like a brother. So we all know what happened there. Well, it didn't last very long. The chapter wasn't very long. And then with Catherine Howard, my brain just went. Catherine Howard, I think it was attraction again, pure lust. It was because he couldn't get his dude dingaling up and that with Anne of Cleves, so he felt lust with Catherine Howard, and that was the way how he went. He went with her for her looks, and she was too young, too naive. Then she also, reading in today's pages, she very much used she wasn't very nice to Mary, which annoyed me, because Anne of Cleves was lovely to Mary. She really fought to get Mary back in court and to get Mary's rights, and that was really good. Whereas I think Catherine Howard was a bit of a bitch, to be honest, and I still don't like her. It's going to be interesting to read our books and see how that's going to go. Next month, for the tudoralong, we're reading Jane Seymour, so I can't wait to find out a bit more, because we only had a very short chapter of Jane Seymour in this book. And again, very short chapters on Anne of Cleves and Catherine Howard. So the more the books go on, I'm looking forward to really learning a bit more about the Queens. But this is interesting. It's been quite factual. Today's pages have been, again, about Henry and how he felt. But it's been all right. Not sure. Looking forward to this book being over, because it has lasted all month. But I've learned a bit more, so that's enough for today, and I'll see you all tomorrow. So guys, I have managed to finish the book. It is on Tuesday the 23rd of August, and I finished it. Less than a month. Today's pages were quite good. It was about Catherine Parr, and we all know how that ended, because obviously she outlived Henry, but she died in the end after having a child. She died of perpetual fever again. So she died the same as Jane Seymour died, which is quite sad. Sorry, kids' noise in the background. I have found this book very informative. It's definitely one that's taught me things that I didn't see in the fiction books based on Philippa Gregory and Alison Weir. They've been the fictional books that I've read. Although I do find, going forward, I would suggest to everybody, if you're reading the Tudor books, read the notes at the end of the book, because that's where you find out a bit more factual information, because that's where the authors will put that. This book has taught me a bit more. I have found it a lot slower paced. Certain queens I would have liked to have known more about than I did. Catherine of Aragon was a big focus, because obviously she was the queen for the longest, and the others were circumstant. But it was a good book. It was one that I found very helpful. I've definitely enjoyed reading it over the month, because it's given me a bit of time to absorb all the information. I do think Catherine Parr she cared for Henry. I don't think she loved him, and I don't think he loved her. But she was the one that did a lot of good, because she did a lot of rebuilding the fences for his daughters, and she did a lot of good for that, and with Edward. but she was another one that fell in love with the wrong guy. And obviously if you read this and you read a lot of the other books, you'll find out which guy she fell in love with that wasn't Henry. I do feel for her because she is still my second favourite queen. She's still, or possibly my favourite, I really don't know, but she is definitely fascinating. And she did a lot of good, which is always a good. But it's definitely been a journey reading this. I'm going to try and put this vlog together and get it ready to go live. But I hope you've all enjoyed this reading vlog. If you have, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribed yet, bring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all in another video. Bye bye.